How you doing then today?
Yeah, good. It's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yeah, very good.
I've eaten a lot of Wagyu in the last month or two, so I'm keen to find out more about what it actually is. I started working with the company Warrendale Wagyu quite recently and put it in as a special pie. And we expected it to sell within a month and it sold in 2 hours. So there's clearly a big market for it. I'm James Sturdy. I run food businesses in North Yorkshire. I have a company called Sturdy Foods, which produces pizza products into the food service industry. I also have a business called Yorkshire Handmade Pies, and that's a business that was set up during lockdown, and it supplies pies nationwide to homes and celebrates the best of Yorkshire produce. And more latterly, I've set up a YouTube channel called Yorkshire Food Guy, and that's broad discussions around food sustainability, food manufacturing and the general food system, and helping raise people's knowledge, awareness and education around food. I'm here in a place called Gillingwood Hall, which is near Richmond in North Yorkshire. So we're here to talk to Paul Metcalf, who's a Wagyu beef farmer, and also with a company called Warrendale Wagyu, who supply Wagyu beef into retail and hospitality.
We are Warrendale Wagyu, working with our farmer partners up and down the nation to produce the highest quality British Wagyu beef. Based in Yorkshire, we are a family-run business working together to put our full-blood genetics together with the dairy breed to produce our uniquely flavoured Wagyu beef.
So the topics that I'd like to be touching on today are to find out the system in which the animals are reared, have a little bit of chat about welfare, environmental sustainability, and also how it ends up as a great product on people's plate at the end. Yes, I'm here with Paul Metcalf today to learn more about Wagyu beef. Paul, and where does Wagyu beef originate from?
I think it originates from Japan originally. I think in Japan they have the very high quality Wagyu, don't they? The extremely high quality Wagyu. But these ones are crossed with a dairy cow. So it's half Wagyu and half Holstein.
Okay, so these are half dairy, half pure Wagyu.
Yeah. It's called an F1 Wagyu when it's crossed. It still is very well marbled, but you just don't have the very extreme price to pay, basically.
Yeah.
In meat quality, we'd say the intramuscular fat, which runs through the meat, is exceptional compared to your normal commercial beef cow. When you cook it, it then melts down, and it's a lot more tender, more succulent. It's a better eating experience. So yeah, it's a better eating quality.
Because a cow has to have a calf each year, so it produces its milk cycle. So the Warrendale are going to dairy farms and saying, well, can we use your cows to produce a Wagyu calf, which can then go on to be fattened for the Warrendale system. They all come from dairy farms in Lancashire. So the animals are born there, and then they're held on the farm until they're weaned off the cows, and then they'll come down to us as a weaned animal, so we can put them onto a sort of a starter ration and a bit of silage as well. And then they'll stay on this farm until they're 24 months old. They'll be outside in summer and inside in winter, and then they'll go off down to Pontefract to be processed. When they're in here, you can see it's mainly a silage-based diet. So they're not getting any soya. It's not an intensive diet at all.
They have a longer life.
A longer life.
Don't they?
Yeah.
We take them up to 24 months.
Yeah.
Whereas a normal commercial beef cow would be.
Oh God, some can be 12 months, can't
yes,
they? 14 months.
Yes. So they have a much longer life.
I think that period outside grazing as well is key, isn't it? You know, they have 6 months outside grazing, so just, in the grass, the fresh air. And it just gives the animal a chance to grow as well and be more of a mature animal, doesn't it?
And obviously during the winter time, when it's wet outside, you need to bring them inside to keep them dry, to keep them healthy. You can monitor them more, and obviously you can feed them the supplements they need.
I mean, we find when you can, in September, you bring them inside, the first thing they do is go and lie down on the straw. They absolutely love it. They're the happiest king, just lay down.
Quite happy to have a rest.
But just you can see sometimes they're thinking,
it's warm, you know.
oh, it's through the gate, looking over the gate, thinking, come here, you know.
I'm Jamie Brownrigg. I'm the production director for Warrendale Wagyu. We're working with around 300 farmer partners, and we're producing probably some of the highest quality Wagyu beef in the world. We've worked with Paul for around 4 years, the top draw farmer with the highest welfare standards, and is exactly what we're looking for as a company to grow the best quality meat that we can. Within what we're doing here, there's 90% of the animals that are all by the same sire, and he was the #1 marbling bull in the world.
So most of the animals come from one bull?
Yeah. So he's jumped in Australia, essentially just for semen. And then that gets distributed across all our dairy farms and all the areas. But we try and stick to as much from one bull as we can, really, so that we know that the product's going to be
More consistent.
Yeah, that's it, consistent throughout. If you think of all the other beef breeds and what people are doing, you know, there'll be one Charolais, one Limousin, one Hereford. You go out and eat a steak and you'll get a perfect eating experience, you know, one time round, and the next time you go, you'll be really disappointed in what you've had. So we want to try and make sure that eating experience is the same every time.
Sounds like that's how you guarantee consistency.
Yeah.
Customers want consistency and we've got to deliver it, and that means in turn we've got to expect consistency from our suppliers. And working with suppliers like Warrendale, who have an absolute 100% commitment to to what they do and the consistency of it, is really important. So getting consistent product in is going to mean we've got ingredients which are consistent. We can turn into a consistent product and make sure our customers are getting the same quality of product every single time they order from us.
One of the things we've worked on also since we started, and Ella's had a lot to do with it, is we've DNA tested every animal. So not only can we tell you where that animal's come from and its history of its life, but what actually was the father of that animal, so that we can then link the results back to meat tenderness, to eating quality, to size of ribeye, to everything. That's what we're working on at the minute.
Having complete control over the standards at every point.
The meat has come from that sire. So full traceability, really.
Yeah. And how big is the market for Wagyu in the UK? Is it something that's becoming more popular?
The growth's phenomenal. I suppose in a time where people are going to eat less meat, we're coming under pressure left, right and centre. I think they're going to eat better quality and they're going to go for the top end. And that's where we want to be as a company, as a farmer. We want to be at the top. In the meat industry and the beef industry, we've come under massive pressure over the last 12 months. There's no doubt in our mind that there's going to have to be a balance to all this, and people are going to have a balanced diet. They will probably choose to eat less meat. Meat will become a little bit more of a treat, maybe once, twice a week. And we believe that Wagyu and the demand for Wagyu will still be there, because we aim to be at the top of the beef sector and producing the best quality.
But it is about, for me, eating a little bit more, accepting maybe eating a little bit less, but eating the kind of quality that you're producing here. And eating local.
Yeah, definitely. I think if in the times of COVID, it's been challenging. It has focused people on buying more local, sustainable beef. If there was anything good going to come out of COVID, it probably would be that,
Because that is an increasing concern for people, isn't it? And what we're eating, what we're putting on our plates, what the carbon footprint of it is, and particularly meat eating is a bit in focus with this carbon footprint. So how does beef farmed on a Yorkshire hillside differ from that farmed in other systems abroad in terms of its carbon footprint?
Well, I would think abroad will be a lot more intensive. So, that's where you get the issues of them clearing rainforests to, grow soya and all this sort of stuff. Where we're doing none of that at all. We're total opposite, really, isn't it, to that?
Yeah, and the food miles obviously goes without saying.
These animals that will be born in Cumbria, they'll come across the Pennines to Yorkshire, they're getting, it's only probably 30 or 40 miles. When they go off down to Dovecote to be processed, it's only another 30 miles, say. 2 movements, one from the dairy farm to here, then from here to the slaughterhouse. So very, very few food miles. And also, we're just growing we're growing all the produce for the fed animal just, around about the farm. So it's really keeping the food miles down. The grassland here can't be used for an awful lot else apart from grazing livestock. And these fields up here won't grow cereals, will they?
No, that's it.
So, and I don't know, Thomas, the other day that grass absorbs CO2 all year round, whereas everyone's about planting trees everywhere. Trees are now dormant. Now once the leaves are off, that's it. That tree's dormant until spring again. Whereas the grass up here will always be growing. And it's using, in a lot of ways, it's a byproduct, isn't it, the grass?
Yeah, for sure.
Can we?
Yeah.
These animals will make, Paul's farm more efficient. He's obviously said that he grows what he needs, to see these animals all the way through. But there's places where he can't grow crops, so he might as well graze the animals there and utilise that part of the farm and put it to good use, really.
Exactly.
Turning grass into meat.
Yorkshire's a fantastic climate for growing grass, growing cereals. It's probably one of the best areas in the world. We've got a very temperate climate. We haven't got extremes of temperature. Well, we haven't got extremes of rainfall normally, but we get consistent rainfall throughout the year. And, we get a good long growing season as well. We can produce here everything the animal wants on the farm. So we don't have to buy anything in or ship stuff in from abroad.
Yeah, we do have that in Yorkshire, don't we? We've got a good network of, especially food businesses, with it being such a rural landscape, and that feeds down to a network of smaller, food businesses, like ourselves and you guys who want to work together, produce quality products and showcase the region. Yeah, so I own a company called Yorkshire Handmade Pies. And as soon as I went to the Warrendale Wagyu Open Day, I just thought, I've got to get this into the pies. So it tells the story of what we do here in Yorkshire really well. And that's what we're about as a company. It's about creating pies that showcase the best of Yorkshire produce. So we made a pie that used the Wagyu beef. And we also paired it with Wensleydale blue cheese, which is quite a famous cheese producer not that far away from here. We also put black sheep Rigwelter ale in it and finished it off with some Henderson's relish. We're really proud of that as a pie because essentially it just shows what great food we've got here in Yorkshire.
The vital link between climate change and cattle is simple. 80% of the forest being cut down here is carried out by ranchers. The Amazon is being destroyed so that you can eat beef.
I understand that there are statistics out there that make beef look like a very poor choice from an environmental point of view, and there are also worldwide statistics to do with beef farming which are correct. But when you look at it on a more individual level or a more nuanced level, there's a huge difference. So the environmental credentials or the carbon footprint of beef farmed in a natural way in the Yorkshire Dales is incomparable with that farmed on a very big grain-fed feedlot over in America, where basically what they're doing is growing huge amounts of grain to then feed to an animal, very intensive in terms of water. But guess what? It rains rather a lot here in Yorkshire and Britain in general. So we have a naturally wet landscape, so it doesn't require more resources than we've already got in terms of sort of water. So yes, beef is always going to be a higher carbon footprint meat. But I don't think that means that we should stop eating it altogether. But I think it's about accepting that maybe we could eat less meat, but making sure that we're careful meat eaters and not just kind of reckless meat eaters where we're too focused on price.
Brazil is the world's #1 exporter of beef, much of it at the expense of the forest that keeps the planet breathing.
Yeah, so if you're in the growing number of people who are concerned with environmental credentials, animal welfare, and you want to be reassured about what you're buying, then my top tips are to think local. So you more than likely you will have a local farm shop, a local butcher, somebody who's got a real close connection with what they're doing. They might even be farming it themselves. So supermarkets generally have a very long supply chain. They're not as concerned with the the environmental impact and the welfare. They're more concerned about lowering prices. And I don't think it's reinventing the wheel. It's about going back to maybe the way that things were 50, 100 years ago, where meat was a luxurious item that people ate less frequently, but when they did, they had a very close connection with it. So I think we just, the top tip is just to find that connection with a local producer who cares about what they're doing and can give you the information. They might even let you go and see where it's produced. So make sure it's grass-fed, buy organic, buy free range, and perhaps be prepared to pay a little bit more, but get a product that you can be reassured has been looked after and is better for the environment. And of course, what's the outcome of that? It's going to taste fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I really want this channel to prompt discussion. There's so much discussion and differing opinions around the food system in general, and a lot of questions that we've yet to answer in terms of what we should or shouldn't be doing going forward, where we should buy our food from, how we should buy it, how often we should eat certain foods, should we just move to plant-based diets, is meat always going to be part of the process? And I don't want to ask any of those questions with any kind of judgment either way. And for me, it's all about talking to different people with differing opinions and starting a conversation, because I genuinely believe that's the way that we're going to find the best way forward. And obviously it raises a lot of questions, some of which are probably too large for us to cover here in this film today. But I'd love to hear if you have any questions, please send them in. In the meantime, please like and subscribe. And if you're interested in subjects around food sustainability, farming, should we be buying British, should we be eating meat, then please like and subscribe to the channel, and it'd be great to have you along on the journey. See you again next time. That goes into the whole part of the process up to starting to start again.
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.